Can I just say before we start, when I had a look at this, there's so much in it about people who helped me, where all the wood came from. I know every bit of wood that went into it. Getting on, so say for argument's sake, Wally McGurk got me a mainmast, and Donald carved it down for me. And there's so many people like that I probably won't remember to say thanks to them all, you know. But just so you know, I haven't forgotten about anybody, and thank you very much for all the help from everybody, for all the encouragement, a great amount of encouragement for me, which is really, really a big thing. People don't realize how important it is to give someone some encouragement. Anyway, this is the crew from the Wanderer. They're the people that saved all the 150 passengers off the Lusitania. Enough to say that it was a present from someone that we don't know. We still don't know. I think I've narrowed it down to 3 people. One Welsh, one American, and one English. At some stage, we might get in touch with those families and ask them to go through their books and have a look and see, was it them that donated the money? So I didn't realise there was that much of a crew. 2, 4, 6, 7 people on it. I never realised there was such a big crew. I always thought there was only 4 guys, and then one boy would sleep up on the nets up for it, and then the other 4 would hot bunk, because no, there was 4 bunks. Yeah, there was 4 bunks in it. Anyway, we'll move on. So there it is there. When this was the 3rd time that the boat was being registered, its 3rd family. It was registered in Peel, RY40. Then it was registered in Dublin, but sailed out of Balbriggan. And it was DE79, something like that. And that happens to be the number of the Ballyfermot bus at the time. You can see the way they've changed it. They took the rig off. They've taken the rig off, put a little toilet, put a little box there on it. The hole is still open there to take the thing. But in a way, the boat couldn't be sailed because they put in a Kelvin engine right underneath the main mast. And the 3-cylinder, 60 horsepower Kelvin engine up that far forward. The engine weighed 3/4 of a ton. So when I got it first, I never thought it sailed very well because it had all that weight in there. And at one stage when we were coming back from the Isle of Man, we got in a bit of weather, and because that weight was all up in the bow, it was more like a submarine. It just went into the waves and it went under the waves. And if you see there, the bulwarks from the bow to where the guy is standing, well, from there down to where the fish hold is, that was washed away with one wave. One wave came and just washed all that away. Okay, that's the way it was when I got it up in Strangford Lough, Billy Smith's place in Strangford Lough. As you can see, he put on the cabin top and he put on that bit of a wheelhouse. That still had the Kelvin engine in it. And he had a Bermudan rig on it, which probably didn't help it sailing either. It sailed fairly well, but it wasn't what you call a good sailing boat. With the gaff rig on it now, it's a powerhouse. You know, there we are playing around with it. Myself and Siobhan. I don't know who's in there, in the little. But we got a good bit of sailing now, but before it got smashed on the way back from Peel. So yeah, there we are again. Mick Hunt. The Mick Hunt had the sister ship to the Aigh Vie, the Renvyle Blossom, which was built in 1910, and the Aigh Vie was built in 1916. So there's Siobhan on the tiller, and there's Mick giving me advice on how to set the sails. As you can see, I'm standing there open mouth with a gasp at his wisdom. There we are, more sails. It really was, I could see straight away it was a brilliant boat, but it has the aluminium mast on it, the Marconi rig. It just couldn't sail. Although Billy had sailed that boat every year for 30 years or so with his family up to Scotland with that rig the way it is there now. They are, I call that the happy man photograph. The happy fool, maybe. But when you're sitting there and your hand is on the tiller, what can you do? There's when we were over in Peel, but that's not in Peel. That's up in the other place. Where does Joe Pennington live? Wherever it is that Joe Pennington lives, anyway, that's where Mike Clark had the white header. That's the white header that's behind you. And this lad on the left he's from Connemara, and I think he's one of the lads that started off Crinnew na Mod. The only person still alive in that photograph is me. So Kim died in Australia, you know. And there's the Aigh Vie and there's the Renvyle blossom beside it. So you can see they're fairly close to each other, but they're not the same. This is when I started to investigate, because the whole port side had been blown off it with the wave and that, and it filled up with water. There's water getting in somewhere, so I said, to hell with this, we're going to have to look at it. So that's when I started investigating what needed to be done. And that was in Holt Yard. So there I am there, on my hands and knees, asking God for mercy. But I decided, as you can see the nails there, I decided that I would go every second frame. And then when I got to the end, I'd come back doing every second frame again. And that way the boat was totally reframed with oak. And they're bloody big. They're 2.5 inch oak. So when the two of them go together, you've got 5 inches. And then there's flowers. There's huge big flowers in it. The flowers nearly go up. But actually you can see one there. Over on behind my back. The flowers went about 1/4 of the way up into the frame. And the one behind that went up higher. And the one behind that went up higher. It's just like you were staggering them so they wouldn't all be in the one line. But there's massive big flowers in it. Yeah, I remember all this. I remember being down in there. Yeah, well, this was the start of putting stuff back in. There's beams going in now. This was down in Rings End. And I'd be working on the boat. And through as God, every day I'd see this head would come and stick over the top of the boat. It was Paul Keogh coming down to make sure that I was doing all right. Are you doing all right, Paddy? So there's the frames now. This is coming into the stern where the flowers were starting to get smaller. Like you can see the width of the flowers there, but they got bigger and bigger and bigger as they went out into the belly, and then they got slightly smaller going into the bow. But I put in new stem. I don't remember the name for those 2 bits of wood that are sticking out there. But again, when I got to there, every second one I did, all oak. Had a great time with that. I really enjoyed doing that, working with those timbers. Just another one of the flowers. I was taking photographs in case I forgot. I was doing drawings, doing measurements, and I took photographs so that I'd have a reference for when I make sure to put the other. That's when I was asked to leave Holt. The people in Holt, I was in the Holt Yacht Club. They welcomed me with open arms when I first went in. Then when they saw the Aigh Vie and they knew it was going to be a long-term project, they asked me to leave. And it was Wally McGurk that got the job of saying to me, Paddy, you need to get your boat out of the yard. Now, they didn't ask me to leave the club. They just said, and I said, well, what's the sense of me being in the club when I'm going to be over in Rings End? So I went from there over to Rings End. That's David, my son. He came over from England to give me a bit of encouragement. Ah, here we are now. This is down in Connemara. I built the shed. And we're starting to make progress now, as you can see. All the new beams in, new carlings in, and Jim Bourne, he's dead now. He only died there a couple of weeks ago. 2 weeks ago? No, 2 weeks ago. He was a good mate of mine. We used to go training, go shooting, go diving, go training. And about 40 years together. Well, he had a good life. He had a good life. But as you can see, I call that the corporation workers photograph. They're all looking into the hole. And Keogh was very attentive there. You see him looking down. Geez, I'll have to talk to Paddy about that. He had to make a mistake there. There's Jerry Keane taking evidence to be used later against you. And Mark. So again, what I was saying about the encouragement, people are coming down, and even if they didn't do anything, the mere fact that they were coming down and being there was a great help, a tremendous help. There we are there. The coach roof, we decided to go with a slope on it. I never saw one before, but Kieran, who was working on this, he suggested it to me, so we made a plywood mock-up, and it worked very well. So we went working on this. Unfortunately, I hadn't got enough money to keep Kieran going. Like Donald, as you know very well, Donald, shipwrights wages are high. Although he did a great job. So later on then, it should get everything else. I couldn't afford to pay a shipwright. So I just had to bite the bullet and get the fucking thing done myself. So I started to really, see, doing the big timbers is kind of easy. Big work like that, you've room. Doing the tricky stuff like all the boards on top of the cabin, where you have to be watching your measurements a lot more. So as you can see, I put in the boards along each side, put the carlings in coming up, and I enjoyed that work. I thought that was brilliant. I really enjoyed it. There we are, decked out. Now, a lot of people don't like the idea of putting marine ply down, but I got a book from a company called Saba, and they guaranteed that when it was a waterproof, it's very like the black mastic stuff that you use in boat building, but the name of the company was Saba anyway, and they said that you don't need to use screws. It was an adhesive, very strong adhesive and waterproof. I used a few screws all right, because at some point you had to hold it down. Even though you're putting weights on it, I wanted to make sure it was pinned down. Anyway, that's up and about, a little up for it for putting in bits and pieces. I have a collision bulkhead right there where that hatch is. They are, you know, a little bit done every day, starting to do the rail. That rail has since come apart. I probably didn't do a good job on it. I don't know if, like as you can see, there was plenty of adhesive in it. Puricol, and that's a Puricol stuff. But I think I squeezed it too hard, and most of the adhesive came out of it, and there wasn't enough there then in it. It was dry, a dry bond, I think. So I heard someone saying. But anyway, that's in the stern. That's access down into it. That's the rudder post. There we are now. Again, this was stuff that I enjoyed. Some of them were big things. The planking, I really enjoyed doing that. We had a bit of a problem down here. Morris Smith came down to me, and we were putting in the plank there, and it broke. I think that happened twice. So I had heard about this thing called boil in a bag, where they sell you plastic. See the way there's all plastic there? They sell you a plastic bag, and you put your plank in the plastic bag, and then you run a hose in and you steam it. But I wasn't buying any plastic bags. I made up my own plastic bags, and that is the same steam machine that Donald uses. I think it's a wallpaper. It's for taking wallpaper off walls, I think. But I think I saw Donald using one of them, so that's what I used. So that's the one there. It's say the ones that are really bright. 1, 2, 3. The third one up, that's the one that caused the problem. But when we steamed it in the bag, it went in lovely. Went in really well. There it is, there again. Yeah, I think we're getting a bit arty now with these photographs. There's a nice one now. I like that. There we are now, all the planks in, all the putty done, all the caulking done, red lead, red lead in the seams, and we're getting ready for our sanding and painting then. You can see the water line there on it. So that's it. I put in the water lines. That's red lead, would you believe, on the bottom. I absolutely believe in red lead. I've been using it since I'm 14 when I first started with Harry May. It's an amazing stuff. Although it's not the same now because I think there's some laws that you can't use lead in the product anymore. And the red lead that was put into the paint, called red lead paint, it was a process where they boiled the lead, and that's why it came out red and highly toxic, highly toxic. But the stuff they have now is just as good, I think. But there's the roller going in. These are all now, when I think of it, the rudder I got wasn't to my liking, to be honest with you. So I made that new one. I made a new one. Why would you make a new one, Paddy? Because I can. And it works very well. It's exactly in proportion, the right proportion for the boat. So you can see there, more tidying up. This is when the lads were coming down to me, all the gang was coming down, and everybody fighting over a paintbrush. But again, on the bulwarks there, Joe Pennington was given out to me because I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 planks on it. And he said there should be only 2 planks on it. Or 3, he said, at the most. He said, you have 5. I said, well, that's all I had, you know. A few irons, made all the irons for it. Again, I wouldn't want to be paying anyone to make irons for a boat. Jesus, you know. My understanding of having a boat like this is that if you can't do a lot of the work yourself, you're not going to be able to afford it. Yeah. Well, no, I'm not saying you can't afford it. What I'm saying is I couldn't afford it unless I did all the work myself. And I suppose I'm blessed because I got a good training when I started off with Harry. And Harry's understanding of work was, you never say to Harry, well, we can't do that. Never. You'd be out the gate. You'd be looking, he'd run you out. Harry's favourite words were, let's have a look and see how we can do this. That's what Harry always said. Let's have a look at this, see how we can do it. Basically, that's, oh, look at this. Jesus, that spanner belongs to Joe Mulcairns. And he said, there's a big nut down there in Connemara. He says, we have to send a big spanner down to unloosen them. Oh, there they are, the motley crew. All in grace. Imagine that now, all these people come together. Now, this is another corporation style photograph. You got 2 men down in the hole doing the work. That's Sean, and then you've got all the other gang looking down, telling them how to do it. And then this would be the breaks. We'd have the break, and everyone would be sitting around yapping and drinking coffee and sandwiches and all getting ready to go down to Molly's. The guy where I rebuilt the boat on the beach is a family there who own that field, own that land, the Flahertys, and they were exceptionally good to me. James, the fisherman, and I remember when I was talking to him about the boat, and another lad, Paddy Fitz, there, this thing, and they said to me, don't worry about anything, Paddy. He said, you fit in here very well. He said, but you have to be careful. He says, the land will catch you, the land will grab you, he said. And I understand what he means now. Like, I'd never leave here, never. Anyway, there's the interior of the boat, starting to come together. It's still the same. I haven't had a chance to do anything else with it. You see the bulkheads there? they're all pitch pine. The bulkhead up forward there, that's all pitch pine. I was saying to Mark, there's a whole story about where all the wood came from. There's a story behind this wood here. That wood came out of the Coombe Hospital, St. James's, is it? That wood came out of St. James's Hospital. And I got that wood out of St. James's Hospital, it has to be about 40 years ago. And I kept it in the shed. And I said, no, one of these days I'll find a use for it. So there's a up forward. Looks really well there. Good. But the master's not in. The master's not in at the moment. But 2 bunks. That's again pitch pine, 1.5 inches thick, 1.5 inches by, I think it's 3.5 inches. And that's the collision bulkhead. That's watertight collision bulkhead. I suppose you're all saying, yes, Paddy, you really needed that. after a little escapade the other night. The portholes are all the ones that came with the Aigh Vie. But Paul Keogh, I think, got me a couple of them. Paul will be able to tell you. I think Paul got me a couple of them. And I got some of them off a trawler that I dismantled down on Pool Beg as well. But the way it is, I think most of you know about, there's bunks in there, there's a bunk in there, a seat in there, and the same on the starboard side. There they are again. The bunk, seat along there, the same on the starboard side. And that's the galley. It's not like that now. I took a lot of that stuff out for someone. I changed my mind. But again, all that wood, that's all the wood that came out of the hospital. Mast, cap throw, put in. I made, well, you know, a lot of the things that I did were the exact same as was in the boat. I didn't deviate at all. I did it exact same. But what I did was I got the Lloyd spook. I got Lloyd spook. I got the Boris Gavara book for building trawlers out of wood. And I just checked that they were all the same as for Lloyd's. And they were, you know. And actually in excess of Lloyd sometimes. Look at the massive floors that are in that underneath the mast. Starting to get it tidy up now and starting to put a bit of paint on it. The reason I put green on it, because I read somewhere that the Manx boats were painted green. Maybe I misunderstood, but I went with the green anyway. All that paint came off the boat. That was a very expensive paint. I know Paul Keogh had the same problem with, we had the same problem on the Cronon. But that is, it was a very, very expensive paint. And the boat now is nearly devoid of any of that paint. Just blistered off and fucking fell off, you know. I don't know what happened to it, but I know when I do it this time, I'm putting red lead in it. I've never seen red lead fail yet. Like I said, I've been using it since I'm 14. Anyway, we have very few photographs of the planking when I put the planking in. But I'm glad that one's in, because that little, I don't know what they call it there, like where the covering board is, and then there's another little plank with joggles in it. I think that's the name, the joggle board or something, joggles, or herringbone, is it? But I just really had an amazing time doing that. You know, I really did. I looked at it and I said, Jesus, this is going to be fun doing this. It's going to be fun. And I spent hours and hours and hours marking it out. This is the way I put the ballast in. What I did was I made up cradles to go in between each frame. They're steel cradles. So they go in and they are pinned to the floors and to the frames. Then the ballast goes into that, and other bars then go across to hold it in case the boat's inverted, the ballast won't fall out. You see the bars going down, they hold everything in. The ballast can't fall out. That's marine ply again, but since Mark gave me some offcuts that we were using in the big apartments that we were building down in the docks. And like he said, these apartments were going for 1 million, 1 million, 1.5, 1.5 million. And I got all the offcuts off the wood that they had put in. You know, some of them are 2 feet long, 2'6". So eventually they're going to go in there. Some lovely wood. And some millionaire who bought his apartment will be given out because it's missing. Oh, yeah. Oh, there he is going in. Yeah. Again, the amount of people that are giving directions. Hands in pocket, look. Oh, there's Paddy Fitz walking over now to take charge. And they were all given, the uncle is in it, is James's son. And they're all giving him directions, and he leans out with the tractor and he says, lads, I know where the sea is. You don't have to tell me. So as you can see, let down, one tractor was able to do it, but a tractor won't pull it out. I have to say that was a great moment, waiting for the toy to come in. Now, a good few of these things I've said it to Mark, he must be sick listening to it, but Wiki Nixon said to me, and he even quoted in the afloat book, he says, floating exactly on its marks. And he asked me, he said, Paddy, how did you get it so that it floated exactly on its marks? And the only answer he gave him was, well, if you ever find out, tell me, because I don't know. But that's not true. See, I'm not great at writing or doing mathematics or anything, but I see things maybe in a different way, and I'm able to, I suppose, for want of a better word, calculate things. But if anyone saw my calculations, they wouldn't be too happy with them. Anyway, so it floated lovely on its marks, and I wasn't going to argue with that. That's exactly where I wanted it to float, and that's what it did. Right, there we are, going out for a bit of a sail. I think I sailed about every day since it was launched. Well, not with the COVID, I didn't, but up until that. That's 2 of the grandchildren. This is, we went over to the Isle of Man the first time with the new boat, so to say. Tim McGuinness. This lad here is Billy Smith's son, the lad that runs the boatyard now. But the guy behind him, the young guy behind him up against the bulkhead, that's the great grandson of William Ball that had the Aigh Vie built. Oh, well, lads, miracles will never cease. After all this time, I might not get with you tonight, but I'll definitely. Well, no, we'll see how it goes. Try for tomorrow, maybe. A bit baggy there and that, now, and I'll have to have a bit of work on that. There's a drop of water. Give you an idea what speed we're doing. Just the engine is ticking over because I want to try and make a bit of time up. But I don't have the engine revved up, it's only just ticking over. Nice little, like I say, tidy up that main, will you? Geez, you can't get any good help nowadays. Statesman's not bad, a bit, not enough wind in it, but it'll do. Oh, look at that. Who made that mess out there with the jib? It's twisted. There's the bow. Once you have that result, you're not too worried. All the best. Thanks everyone for all the encouragement. Please God, I'll see you late tonight or in the morning. Bye. That's a warning to anyone who wants to go sailing on their own. You start talking like that after a while. That's Conor, who came around with me. His job was to catch the dinner every day. So there he is there with the little fishies for the dinner. I thought it was great for him. Like, he was only 16 and he did a circumnavigation of Ireland. And he did his watches every time. We did 4 on, 4 off, and not a bother to him. Did his watches Okay. This is me going off on me solo navigation. Went over to the Isle of Man. She went waving goodbye to Siobhan. I have to say I really enjoyed that trip. Although I got hammered up the north coming around. I got into Broadhaven and I thought it was okay. I had the anchor out lovely, but the wind changed to the south and Jesus, it came on hard. And the chain hopped out off the roller and tore one of the planks in the bulwark off. So there you go. There's always something happening. There's always something going on. That's when we went on the first one around, because there's Conor, there's Veritas and Rossa. But Veritas and Rossa only wanted to go as far as Dingle. And we dropped them off in Dingle. They got the bus back up to Dublin, and myself and Conor stayed on it and carried on around. But you can see that's now not under engine. That's just with the mizzen up. And she's doing quite well, just with the mizzen. Oh, another happy man photograph. I always said if that was Paul Keogh sitting there, see the booker at the side, that'd be full of ice and bulmers. In the end of the day, if you want something done, do it yourself. But I wasn't going to ask Conor to go out there. You know, it was his first time on a big sailing boat. He does lots of fishing with his dad. He's been out fishing with his dad since he's about 6, and he's good on the water. But this was his first time actually on sailing boats. So that's going into Peel when I went around, and I was late getting in, but sure, what the hell? The journey is the thing. You know, arriving is okay, but the journey is, to me, the journey is the most important part. Oh, there's my 2 boys. They're the Murracubas, the sea hounds. They're a mixture of collie and husky. Look at them. That's me. I'm coming back. That time I went from that storm in Broadhaven. As soon as there was a break in the weather, I got out and came all the way around in one shot. I didn't stop. I usually I'd stop and drift or forward each or something like that, and have a bit of a rest, but I didn't. I just, for some reason, I just wanted to get home. I was tired, as you can see in the face, you know. But I really, really enjoyed it. I enjoy being on the water. You know, people say, "Are you not scared?" Oh, yeah, I'm scared, and I try not to be stupid, but I like being on the water, you know. And so there you go. Oh yeah, the trailer going in. They are, Donald. You can see the way I did the trailer. Because I'm sailing the boat into the trailer, I need guides to get in. So see the 2 either side? That'll guide me in, and then the one here, that one there for it, that'll be the nozzle. The stem will come up against that. And then the 4 pads are just the balance. The boat will actually be sitting, all the weight of the boat will be down on the axles. Whereas you had your one slightly different. And the lads down Folan's did their one slightly different as well. So what happened was it wasn't me really. I was late getting the boat over. So I was hoping to get some shots of it coming out of the water. But it's coming out of the water in the morning. Please God. I keep coming back to it, but the amount of people are encouraging me to keep at it, you know. But as people say to me, that's my nature anyway. I would never give up on it, you know. I wasn't going to give up on it. People say, "Oh, yeah, you're at that now, 10 years." I said, "No, I'm not at it 10 years. If you count, 10 years has elapsed in time. But I haven't been working on that about 10 years. You have to be realistic. There's about, in actual time spent on the boat, because most of it was done by Misha, I'd say there's about 3-4 years actual work, right? And then there was big breaks in between. Yeah, that's why it went. So because I had to build a house here in Connemara. So you couldn't be building a boat and build a house. You know? Well, I think it would have been up in the divorce courts very quick.
That's brilliant, Paddy. Thank you. Super talk. Tell me, you're pulling the boat out of the water. What are you going to do to her when she's out?
Right. I really want to change the keel. It was a case of me being impatient. I was impatient. I wanted to get out sailing. Let me get out sailing on this boat. Let me get out. I wanted to go offshore, you know. And I didn't do any work on the keel. It's the only part of the boat that's, no, there's lots of other parts in it which are original. But the keel is not good. And it's leaking. And the dead wood at the stern where the keel was. So I have oak bar. I have the oak for it, but I want to try and go for sail this summer. So my chances of putting the keel in this summer is gone. So I think I'll start it during the winter. Well, because we get it back in and a shed over it again. It means you can work all day no matter what type of weather. I'll drop the keel out of it and put a new keel in. And then when that's done, now I'll be happy to go offshore. Like I'd be happy with the boat the way it is now. I'd be happy to sail around Ireland. You know, 5-10 mile offshore or whatever. Because I know if the pumps went, I could get in. But if I was any further out and the pumps went, the chances of keeping up with that water rate with the hand pumps is very. I don't think it'd be very. It'd be a bit foolish to do it, you know.
Yeah. What's wrong with the keel the way it is at the minute? Is it the
too old?
Are gone or
old, just old. Donald.
Yeah.
When I was drilling out the keel, it wasn't like you know, wood would come out in chunks. You know, you'd get a spirally thing coming out.
Yeah, yeah.
All I was getting was dust. So I think the wood had lost this. What do you call it? That cellulose thing that's in the wood.
Yeah, the lignins. Yeah, that's probably. It's probably.
I think
it's probably dried up.
And I patched it up as best I could, but like I said, I was too impatient to get out on the water, and I'm learning my mistakes now. I'm going to do the keel the way I felt I should have done in the first place. You know, like and Paul was saying to me, and he's quite right, I suppose. I'm not necessarily going to add any value to the boat. I mean, anyone that buys that boat will be an enthusiast, right? But that's all very well if we don't add value to it. I am not going to walk away from that job that's not done. That's the way I am. I mean, you know, people say, man, know thyself. I know me, I know what I'm like. I know what kind of a fucker I am. And I won't give up. I just won't give up. And I don't care if you offered me £1 million for that boat now. Right? Well, that's not entirely true. It's 8 million. But I feel it's a job, an unfinished job, and I don't want to be wandering around with an unfinished job in my brain.
Paddy,
yeah.
get the keel, and I'll put it in with you.
Thank you, my Dan. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Me and you will have great crack. Don't worry. But again, you see, I think it stems back to the way I was taught to do work. People said, "Oh, that's a very technical job, and it's very heavy, and there's big timbers, and I'll have to do this, and I'll have to do that, and you'll have to do the other." You know. I said, "Yeah, it is technical, and it's big timbers, and there's a lot of work in it. But apart from that, what did the Romans ever do for us?" You know. As Paddy May said, let's have a look at it and see how we're going to sort it out. You know, I'm not trying to dismiss it and say that it's not an important job. I really know how important it is, but at the same time, it's not beyond me. You know, that might be me saying, what's it when people are there's a word for it in psychology, Jesus. People think they can do things and they can't. call stupidity, I think. But anyway,
No, it can be done. It can be done.
yeah. I don't think it's. I know we've got to be careful when we're doing it. I know we can't take any chances on it, but at the same time, I don't see what can't be done. So, and like I said, I think Paul is right. Probably it's not going to add an awful lot of value to the boat, because whoever takes that boat will be taking it regardless. They just want the Aigh Vie, if that's what they're going to do, you know. But to me, it's an unfinished job, and I'm not going to let it. I don't want to go away with this world leaving an unfinished job behind me. Now, take that to any psychiatrist you like and see what they say.
Well, on a psychology point of view, Paddy, if you're staying on the level keel, you're okay. That's the.
Yeah. Jesus, I tell you.
That's it.
But yeah, and again, you see, an awful lot of people are talking to me, and they're being very straight with me because they're friends, and your friends are always straight with you. And they're saying, "Jeez, Paddy, you're not getting any younger. You can't pull them sails up on your own. All this, you know." And in a way, they're right. Like, I'm still training. I go out training there, and I make sure that I'm in good fettle. You know, I can still get the main up on my own. I can still get the mizzen. I can still get all the jibs up on my own. But I know I won't be able to do that for many years. For much, if we get another 3 years over, 4 years over, we'll be lucky. But then I might decide to go technical and put winches on it. Put winches and all sorts of fancy yokes on it where you press a button, you know. And I mean to say, we've got great encouragement there from Paul. Paul went all winches and he hasn't looked back. He thinks it's brilliant.
Paddy, what's the plan once you've got the new keel in?
Thanks for asking that, Darrell. But you know what they say? Tell God your plans and give him a good laugh.
Yeah.
I have an idea in my head, whether it's fucking right or wrong, I don't know, but I can't get rid of it. I want to go for a big long sail, really do. And I suppose that would mean, I think I would like to go around sailing around the world, right? That's been ever since I got on the water, but other things in life came up, and the sailing was put to one side. But if I had an opportunity, two things that I would look at very strongly. I think I've said this now before, not just in all this company, but two things I would look very strongly at would be my physical health and my mental health. And if my physical health and mental health are good, and I'd kind of be going on my own. But if I find I'm lacking in either one of them, if I get, say, a bit of Alzheimer's or whatever, and I fucking can't open my own beer bottle or something like that, I'd still like to do it, but get a group together. Because this is a dream I've had, Jesus, what, 40 years now, and it's like the boat itself, I don't want to give up on it. But to go on my own, I would negotiate that. I would really then say, don't be stupid, Paddy. Why wouldn't you get some people interested and do, say, 5 stops on the way around? You know, plan the route and say, right, take a crew from there to there. They could fly home, another crew fly in. Take it so far, they can fly home. You know, that way I get to do the whole trip. But then I don't want to be stupid. I don't want to be like I said, I don't give up on things, but there's no sense in pushing something forward which is going to hurt you, you know.
Mm.
We've got to sit down and have a really good talk about this with myself. What is it that I want? Why am I doing it? What's the underlying reason that you're doing it, Paddy? Do you want everyone to say you're great? You know, oh, there's Paddy Murphy, he's fucking great, he went sailing. I'm not a real sailor, you know. Like if you put me in among all you lads, like you, sailing, right? Paddy Barry, right? There's people that have so much more experience than me. They're really what I would consider a good sailor, I always, you know. So it's not for that. It's not to be held up as a great sailor. I just feel oh, right. You're using words. I have an itch and it has to be scratched. Yeah?
Yeah, well said.
Yeah. But then people say, don't scratch your itch because you'll break the skin and you'll get
Patient.
you get whatever. I don't know, Jimmy, what you get. What would you get? But you see what I mean? You have to be careful. You have to be careful what way you scratch it.
How do you keep your dreams alive?
Hopefully, yeah. Oh, geez, yeah.
How do you talk about sailing to Iceland? Is that still on the cards?
Yeah,
You're not straightforward. There are no traffic lights, roundabouts, bends,
yeah,
hills, or anything, just straight
Yeah.
line.
yeah. You see, I like my own company, Adrian.
Well, you'd have to, Paddy.
Yeah, I like my own company. And yeah, I'd like to do, see, that might satisfy me. That might satisfy me. If I got the boat going and I went up, went around Iceland and headed home and got home, and then I'd sit down and say, look at, right, that's good. I'm satisfied with that now. Yeah.
Or it might taste you to do more.
Yeah. Well, now I wouldn't say no to it. You know, like you know yourself, Adrian, you have more miles under your belt than most of us here put together. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like you say, it catches you. I admire the likes of Paddy, Barry, and you, right? And you know the usual. So you're supposed to be told, "Oh, men don't talk like that. Tell each that we like each other and all," you know. But Paddy Barry was sailing around in the St. Patrick, right, when everyone else was just fucking talking about it, and he was able to organise himself. Now I've heard people saying, "Oh, it's all very well. The job let him off and all this," you know. But that just because the job. I don't think that's true. I think the way Paddy used to work was he'd finish a project which released them for to go sailing. Yeah.
Well, that's right. And he planned it, Paddy. You know,
Yeah.
tried to do a big trip every 3 years, which is,
Yeah,
but you know, his planning.
it is organisation and planning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas I got lost along the way, and I wasn't doing as much sailing as I had hoped to. The other things get in the way, you know. And I had the experience, not very well. In one ways it was good, in one ways, like I say, you have to get to know yourself, right? And there's nothing I don't know about myself. I have turned myself inside out and I've looked at everything. And Siobhan is great at that. She's able to sit down with me and work things out and say, this is the reason for this, Paddy, this is the reason for that. But the idea that I'm comfortable on the water, and hello, Ben, the biggest.
Hello, Paddy, how are you doing?
Ben was with us himself and Bob Darcy
That's right.
and someone else
Tony Moylan.
when the boat got smashed coming home. Do you remember that?
Will I ever forget it?
Yeah.
But we made it, Paddy, didn't we?
We did.
We did.
Yeah, it was good.
That was a good old trip, a good few laps.
Yeah.
There was somebody else on there as well. Who else did we have on? There was
Kim.
Oh, that's
Kim,
right, that's right, that's right.
Kim and that fella there's a lad from Connemara.
Tony Moylan,
Holy Moynihan, that's right.
that's right, yeah.
Yeah.
We sorted out Peel all right, didn't we?
Yes. I think the stories get better with the telling. They always do.
We say no more, we get together.
Yeah. But it's great, you see, if you can live long enough, you can tell stories and no one can contradict you because they're all dead.
Very well put, Paddy. Well, there's two of them dead anyhow.
Yeah. Yeah. But
You know what Long John Silver said? He said, "Dead men tell no tales."
yeah. Yeah. But Adrian, what we were saying there, what we were saying earlier on about my heroes, my first hero, it was Paddy Murphy. And then you were going around. What was that boat you had before the Madcap?
Oh, Villa.
Yeah, Villia, yeah. Thought that
Yeah,
was,
the
yeah.
Renvyle, yeah, she was great.
Yeah. But you see, I had to be careful because early on in my young life, I started doing sports and I wanted to be good at sports. So what happens is if you're unbalanced a bit, you put too much into the one thing and you neglect other things, right? And I put so much into judo, training judo. I became really, really good. But it was at the loss of other things that I wanted to do as well. I had to make a choice, you know. So the sailing just went for a hop. Now I'm still training, full and all that I am, but I like sailing more and more now. I really like the idea of it. But that's where I'm saying to you about, I am going to try and be very straight with myself. And of course, fucking Siobhan is going to straighten me out very quick if I try to do things wrong. And in the next couple of years, I'll put a plan together, and it looks more and more like I will try to organise a group to come around with me.
Paddy, when you're replacing your keel, what's the dimensions of the keel?
Well, we'll start off with a piece 12 inches by 7.5, I think. Yeah.
And the length?
35. But I can't get it in the full length, so I'm going to do it in 2 halves.
Oh, very good.
Put a thing in it. But it's no problem. The structure is still as good as a straight piece.
Yeah,
you know.
very good.
Yeah. According to the Lloyds, anyway, they have measurements. We don't know this. They have measurements for whatever depth the piece of wood is. The scarf has to be a certain length.
Yeah.
12 times.
Yeah. Say that again, Donald.
12 times the depth.
Yeah. So once it's put together according to their regulations, it's as good as a straight piece. It's as good as the piece, the overlapping. So there'll be a lot of work in it, right? Take off the garboards. Do we have a little bit of concrete inside the floors and knock all that concrete out? Then I can drop all the ballast out of it. If we take the two points off either side, port and starboard, they're original, and I think I can save them. I'd like to save them because they really are good. All the planking under the water was better than the planking above the water for some reason. So anyway, drop off port and starboard, then get all the ballast out, drop all that out onto the floor, and then undo all the bolts and drop the keel out in one piece if we can. Right, I say you can drop it in one piece.
That's great, Paddy. It's going to be that simple. That'll just take you up like a long afternoon.
Yeah. The thing that I am putting a bit more thought into is the support the boat. Support the boat so you can get underneath and work on it. You know, because you won't be able to put chocks underneath it to hold her up. So what I'm going to do is, if you think I'm going to make frames, like, see my hands like that now? I make frames like that. The boat fits into them. And then the central bit that's left here, I can get the keel in there and lift it up. But I'm going to make 6 big steel structures and make them in the shape of the boat and have 3 on either side. So the weight is distributed the full length of the boat. That way the boat will be sitting there on the pads and I can clear it out underneath and that make the work. That we'll be able to have good access is the thing. One of the problems with a lot of doing work, if you don't have good access, you don't do good work. If you're lying on your back and you're getting tired and your mind goes then, and you don't, as Johnny Healy used to say, you don't have mind on job. So access and a bit of comfort is very valuable. Again,
Paddy, how will you lift it off the trailer onto those frames you're making?
I have to look at this now. I'll make little models out of wood and all this stuff. I might not lift it off the trailer. I might lift it up. See, at the minute the keel is sitting on the keel will sit down on the axles, right? But I've got access to the side of the trailer. I could put my lifting pads on that, and I could lift the boat up. I only have to lift her up enough to drop the keel out, which is 12 inches.
And the keel.
Very simple, isn't it? But I'm a simple-minded person. I don't make things complicated. You know, you want to take something out, you take it out. You have a system and work to the system, and you really can't go wrong. You follow the numbers.
Right up
You
the
do
guts.
this first, you do that second, you do this third, you know, and jobs will go along nicely then.
Now, what kind of a time period are you giving yourself, Paddy?
Time for you, 3 months, 8 hours a day, hopefully, 9 to 5, we used to do before. That's why I'm saying, I don't know whether physically I'll be able to do full days anymore. So that's kind of unknown at the moment. But at the minute, I find I can do a good solid, some days 4 hours, some days 6 hours. Like last night, I did 11 hours.
We have
Right, you know.
You look shattered, Paddy, now.
I know, look at me, I'm trying to hide the face. But like I say, I don't underestimate any job that I do. But at the same time, don't overestimate either. Paul was always giving out to me that the time I allow for jobs, I haven't got an understanding of times, which is right. And Paul has an awful lot of experience budgeting for jobs, and he can't allow a job to go over time because that's all money lost. So he's very good at knowing how long a job will take. I tend to be a bit off. Usually I found in my life, everything takes longer than I thought. But it doesn't upset me because you just do it until you have it finished.
Paddy, what you need to do there is take very accurate measurements of the keel and actually draw it up. And like my advice would be there, once you have the timber, you probably won't have room in the shed. So drop those 2 pieces of timber down to my place. We'll scarf them in my workshop.
Yeah, bring them up and put them together.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but make a very detailed drawing of it, because what will happen there, you will find with that keel as well, as when you make a detailed drawing of it, and when you take out the old one with all the tension and everything, there'll be a lot of discrepancies there. So we'll probably re-straighten it a little bit, you know, because we'll be able to, that'll probably have hogged a little bit, you know. So Like,
That's great, Donald, thanks. But
Yeah.
at the same time, look, I know I'm not shy about asking for help. If I don't know something, I'll say, show me how this works. Explain to me why that has to be like that. You know, and like, the very thing I was going to say, like, you're going to be doing this planning out with me. Like I'll be saying to Donald, how do we do this? How do we do that? And the one thing that I'm very good at, really very good at, is taking instructions.
Not so sure about that, Paddy.
What?
Not so sure about that.
I know. See, you've never given me instructions, you see.
I'd be afraid to.
No, and when people are there and you recognise the quality of the person and the amount of experience they've had in life and all that, you'd be a fool not to take notice of what they're saying.
Paddy, so you're not doing the keel this year. You're taking her out and patching her up. Is that the plan? And then back in?
Yeah, I want to try out this new product that I found. And similarly, it's like a paint, you paint it on, but it becomes then like a rubber. And the stretchability of it is very good. And the impact resistance is really very good. And it's totally waterproof. And it will stick to wood.
Okay.
I'm going to give her a try. And at the minute, I have the dead wood. There's water getting in there. I'm going to recover that with planks. I have some planks there. I'll recover that with planks and then apply this material to it. And then I'll be able to have a look at it and see whether or not it's working in stopping the water coming in.
Yeah.
And then, hopefully, when I do the keel, and if that stuff is a success, I'll do the bottom totally up to the water line with it. That'll mean the boat's dry. You know, and I know there's arguments then against whether you're supposed to let the wood breathe, but if the wood is only sheeted on one side, it still is able to breathe. And look, come on, how long am I going to live? If I can get 10 years out of that boat, for God's sake, won't I be winning?
It's 10 years that frightens me, Paddy.
Well, I might be overestimating that as well, you see. I'm a bit, might be adding on a few that I might not have there. You never know.
No, Paddy, you might be underestimated on the age as well.
Exactly.
Thank you, Paddy. That was very fantastic. Really, really fantastic effort made over a few decades.
Yeah.
Really great to hear how you did it. And also your plans for the future for the next 10 years. So thanks.
Thanks, Paddy. Thanks very much.
Paddy.
Right, so.
Good luck.
Thanks for that.
Good luck, Paddy. It was nice reminiscing a bit.
Yeah. You wouldn't want to be taking these things too seriously, you know.
We never did.
Oh, how are you,
Thanks,
Tim?
Paddy.
Hi, Tim.
Good to see you, Tim.
How are you?
Oh,
Yeah,
look at that.
Johnny. No. Paddy, remember the boat Johnny Weddick had, the Zulu,
Yeah. The Bracken Lass.
the Brecon Lass.
Yeah.
Now, Johnny did on the Brecon Lass precisely the job that you're planning to do on
Yeah.
your boat.
Yeah.
You remember seeing her there now,
Yeah.
and they had her propped up
Yeah.
and the old keel out of her.
Yeah.
And then they made this big, long, one-piece oak keel.
Yeah.
And they brought it out and they literally just dropped
Yeah.
the boat onto the new keel.
Yeah. That was Colin McCairn's. I had the great fortune to see him putting that keel into that boat.
Ah,
That was down in the pole yard.
that's precisely right.
Yeah.
It-
And
Surely you would take an awful lot out of that because it was a
Yeah.
huge operation.
well, I went down there every day, and I didn't want to be interfering with the man, but I just kind of stood back at a distance and I watched everything he did. You know,
It was very impressive. Wasn't there quite as much as you were, but
Yeah.
I remember being impressed by it. And I remember the extraordinary sight of the crane of them
Yeah.
rolling out the new keel. And then they brought the crane up with the boat and they literally just dropped it onto the keel.
Of
It
course,
was as
now,
neatest job as you could ever imagine.
yeah. Donald will tell you now, and Ben and all that, but Colin Cairns was considered a genius in the shipwriting.
No,
Shipbuilding.
sorry, Paddy. It wasn't so much he was considered a genius. He was a genius.
He was a genius, yeah. Everybody, you trained with Donald, you trained with Colin Cairns, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. That's very lucky too. Yeah. Like that. Yeah, the man was gifted.
I was watching him, and the one thing I noticed about him was he was never flustered. Never flustered. He just went.
My first experience of Colin was when he restored the Renvyle Blossom and Hope. Like it was a treat to watch him working.
Yeah.
Let's go back a bit, Paddy.
Oh, Ben, that's going back now.
92,
38 years.
91, 92.
Yeah, 91. That's 30 odd years.
Yeah, that was my first experience of Colin. I tell you, it was a treat to even to give him a hand doing things. It was brilliant to watch him.
And you see, if you have any sort of cop on at all, these things brush off on you then. When you see him, you see someone like that working, and you take note of it, you'll always be the better for it.
Of course.
Yeah.
And as you said, one thing that you would always have to admire about him, he never ever got flustered.
Yeah.
He probably have a fag.
Yeah. I know. It's so. Well, like I say now, with a bit of luck, myself and Donald will be putting his practices into practice.
Well, there you go.
Have you, Paddy, where are you doing? Are you having a shed to go into? You're doing it up there on the beach where you...
Yeah, I will have a shed by then, Paul. I've decided to put I think the lads here are going to come in with me on a shed.
Right.
You know, and it's like everything else. If you try and buy a shed, you're looking at 15 grand, 20. I don't know what kind of monies. But if you put a shed up yourself, it doesn't cost that much. It costs of the materials, that's all.
Yeah.
Labour is a huge part of any construction like that because they're big. It's a big job.
Yeah.
You can't. Well, I said that you saw the shed. I put it up on my own, but
they're not left with now. The uprights and all are gone, are they?
Get it again? No, the uprights are still there.
Are they? Okay, so you can use them.
What happened there was the western end of the shed wasn't closed over, and a big storm came.
Oh.
And it broke things. But then the young lad came in with a big digger and decided to take the shed down to redo it. But it never happened.
Right.
But the uprights are still there. But this time we're going to put a wooden roof on it. Wooden beams. Because unless you get the stuff galvanized, it won't last. That was one of the problems too. I didn't get it galvanized.
Okay.
But, we put wooden beams across and then the corrugated iron.
Yeah.
We've done our costings for it and we'll see. Like I say, I'd say more than half of the cost, oh no, even more than that, is labour. You've got people in doing it.
Yeah.
You know.
That's the how it is.
Yeah. And we're searching around anyway, and we might actually find a shed that we can go and dismantle and bring it up. You know.
Yeah.
Again, like we're blessed when we have people like, say, Oscar Fowland has the big truck, and for a very reasonable price, Oscar would go up and pick up stuff for you. Like Donald was saying, we could do the two halves down in his place.
Yeah.
And because they're not it's not turning out to be a 40-foot long piece, we can put them on the back of the trailer and bring them up. The last comment. People say that I am a dreamer, but I'm not the only one.
Never give up, Paddy.
All right,
All
good night,
the
everyone.
Right, Paddy. I have to
You
good
are.
talking to you again, Paddy.
All right, put us off, as you say, put us
That
off.
was absolutely fantastic, Paddy. Thank you very much indeed.
Ah, that's good point.
Paddy, you brought back a lot of memories there.
Yeah.
Thank you, Paddy. That was a great talk. Thank you.